Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys briefly about one of the questions I get asked all the time, and it's, Jason, I know you promote the box squat, but can the insert other squat here replace it? Can pin squats, can pause squats, can these things replace the box squat? They're all taking you to a dead stop. Other than they aren't. In fact, you're going to get less true dead stop of your body on those than you are with a box squat. And I think we need to be clear here that the whole conjugate system is built around the box squat. So if you're going to run conjugate type training, I don't think that you're going to find these particularly effective. Now, does that mean that we don't ever use them? And I think that's the point people forget here of when you're talking about max effort lifts versus strength and power developers, there's a difference. Are they acceptable max effort variations? Of course they are. Particularly when you have guys who have very little equipment. So for example, if I have guys who don't even have stackable pads, they have to kind of build their own boxes at home. They only have one barbell. They don't really do bands or chains. They're not set up to even really hook bands to the racks and stuff they have. Of course we use these things, right? Of course we do. Use them for maxes. People say, why? What do they bring to the table? They don't. And that's the point with max effort lifts. Your max effort lifts don't have to bring anything to the table other than to be a really big, heavy variation of an exercise that recruits maximum muscles that you can test your one rep max strength on. We're not concerned about all the specific training effects because a one rep max is a training effect. So if I have a lifter who has very little stuff, he might do 3 different heights of boxes, but depending on what he has, I might have him do back squat, pause squat, dead pen squats. Sure, of course we use those things for 1 rep max lifts, just to test where his maxes are to have different lifts in the rotation. Okay, but we don't care about the training effect of it. Not in that regard. We're not worried about the muscular development aspects of it, because we're not using it repeatedly. We might only use it once every 10 or 12 weeks. Okay, if you only do a 1 rep max on a lift once every 10 or 12 weeks, you're going to get very, very little training stimulus from it. It's not a true training tool. It's just a max effort test. And it again comes back over to teaching you how to max out. So when it comes to training effect, what are we doing? We're either doing rep work or we're doing speed work. That's it. That's what we're doing. Well, they're not going to replace the box squat. Which one's going to create more fatigue you have to recover from, a box squat or a pause squat? The pause squat. Pause squat's actually harder to recover from. Box squats don't beat you up the same. Okay, they're phenomenal for that. Also, hard it is to learn to do a really wide stance squat with a pause squat. So what's one of the big perks of the box squat? It's easy to teach us how to get out wide. Well, if we're trying to put on as much size and strength, we want to squat as wide as our hips will allow us to. Should be common sense. Let me state that again. If our goal is to develop as much muscle mass and strength as possible, we need to be using variations that allow us to develop as wide of a squat stance as our hips will allow for. Again, common sense if you understand biomechanics of the squat. The wider your stance goes, the more muscles are involved. It's not my opinion. It's based upon pretty damn good data. I want you to try to learn how to do an ultra wide squat on a pause squat. Let me know how that goes for you versus the box. And see which one feels better on your hips. Okay, we can do a lot more training volume with the box squat. We do a lot more training volume. Also, the rate of force production is higher. Again, based upon studies, based upon data from the lab, it has the highest rate of force production. We're trying to build power. The box squat's king. It also teaches us how to sit back. Let's compare the other thing with the pause squat. Let's talk about the recovery end. How about your recovery of your knees? How about recovery of the patellar tendon You start doing any sort of volume, something besides a 1 rep max. How far do you use your knees slide forward on a pause squat? Usually pretty far. I'm not saying that's going to destroy your knees. I'm not one of those people who's going to try to tell you that knee slide damages the knee per se. No. But it is harder on recovery. You're going to get more inflammation of the tendon. Your knees are going to feel a lot better. And feel a lot better on that box squat afterwards. Okay, our training volumes. Training volumes. So it's easier on recovery. We can get more training volume in. So if we can get more training volume in and learn better technique, which one's going to make us stronger? Box squat. Box squat. Also, which one's going to carry over more? Which one of these is going to make you a better squatter? Box squat carries over completely. You pull the box out, you will always squat more on a back squat than you box squat. Every single time. Pause squat shifts the weight a lot further forward. It forces you further forward because of the pause at the bottom. You have to get tighter. Teaches you to knee slide everything else. And I'm saying it's not a good tool. I'm not saying that pause squats are useless. They're not. They're not useless at all. Box squat is going to carry over better, especially if you're doing all your volume with it. Same thing with our speed work. How are you going to do speed work from a pause squat? You think you're going to explode from that pause? Instead of explode from the box, you get more posterior chain involvement off that box. So if we're going to do speed work, which is going to be what we do. So again, when we go to conjugate, what are we squatting with? We're only doing maxes and we're doing speed work for the most part. Everything else is just going to be hypertrophy exercises. We don't need a barbell on our back for that. Right? We can do isolateral movements. We can do hip belt squats. In some cases, you might even do machine work. We're just trying to build extra legs through volume. We're not going to do that on a squat. We're not going to do that with a heavy barbell loaded on our back. Okay? It's not ideal. Not from a recovery perspective. So we're back over to speed work. You're going to try to do speed work with a pause squat? You really think that's going to be the same? Also, when you guys try to do speed work with it, they just drop into the bottom fast. Let's talk about how your knees feel after doing pause squats for speed work. I wish you the best of luck with that. Then we come over to the pin squat. Pin squat beats your joints up. Now, people will say, but isn't it the same as a box squat to bring you to a dead stop? No, you don't come to a dead stop on the pin squat. The bar comes to a dead stop. You can drive yourself back up under the bar. Because the bar is what's fixed. On the box squat, the box prevents your torso. It stops you. The bar is still free floating and pressed up on your spine. When people pin squat, I don't think they realize that you get loose again and you can drive back up through that pin. You can get a little slack in your body and then drive against the pin and find the lever to explode up. Completely different movement. Completely different movement. Because you're sitting into the box with your torso versus your torso possibly getting loose and driving back into a bar that has been hard stopped by safeties. Okay. It might sound like a minor difference, but it's not. It's not. Pin squat allows you to find favorable leverages and then drive into it by letting your body get loose and retighten. On the box squat, you have to keep your body tight and maintain that bar tightness because you're going to get way more power. Pin squat will teach you to find your levers. It'll teach you how to find your bar path through a sticking point. That's why it can be interesting to test maxes on, right? Especially partials. It has its use as a training tool, but you're not going to use it for your volume work. It's going to beat you up. It's what happens every time you hit those pins. Beat your joints up. Let's come back over to our point. Joints, recovery, box squat superior, pin squat. You try to do your speed work on a pin squat. Try to do a bunch of volume on the pin squat. Try to do 20 reps in a workout off of a pin squat. And compare how your joints feel. You're going to do that week in and week out. I don't think so. So if we come over and we look at the uses of these movements, how could you possibly replace the box squat as a training tool with either of these? You can't. They're not interchangeable. You don't use them for the same roles, right? It doesn't matter that you may have removed the stretch reflex on the squat. These are three very, very, very different squats that we just described. They're not interchangeable. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.